Welcome to the Thought Brothers. We all been thinking, and here we are on the 13th day of March. We're going to kick it off with the analyst.
That's
you
right.
Notice how I put the word on analyst, okay? So go ahead, brother. It's
Hey, man.
The
Good to
clock
see you,
starts
Gary.
now.
Good to see you, Gary. Good to see you, CJ. Good to see you, Mr. Spivey. Hey, look, man. I'm going to try to represent the ladies as much as I can during Women's History Month, man. Last week, who we had? We had Shirley Chisholm. We had Jane Kennedy. And we had Danica Patrick, man. We mixed it up a little bit, right? Well, check this out. I was just thinking, the Olympics are coming to Paris. 2024 is an Olympic year, you know?
Yep.
And I said, let me go back and check out some of the greatest female athletes who ever participated in the Olympics. Two of them, I think you guys know all of them, okay? And you know, the last one I'm gonna cover, I gotta cover her last because she was just the fastest woman ever tracked, Florence Griffith Joyner.
FloJo.
Last. FloJo. Everybody know FloJo, all right? Then I'm gonna take out probably an athlete in track and field that may have been better than FloJo because of all of the different events, not just sprinting. How about her sister-in-law, Jackie Joyner-Kersee?
Oh, that's right.
Ooh, how about that, right? Yeah,
that's right.
How about that, right? So Florence Griffith Joyner married Jackie Joyner's brother, okay? And Jackie Joyner married Bob Kersee, track coach. So it all we're gonna straighten it out. But the first one, you may not think I would even think to lead with this one, but this particular female athlete was so dominant during her Olympic stint, okay, or Olympic time period, okay, that people who didn't watch the Olympics knew who this person was, okay? And it got to the point where Brothers in the Hood was like, yeah, I know her. I was like, what? And it got to the point where she was on TV so much, I think people all around the world knew who this was. The 1984 Olympics, Mary Lou Retton. Mary Lou Retton, I was like, Brothers in the Hood was like, yeah, that's Mary Lou. I mean, literally, she was so good, and she wasn't that old. She was 16 years old in the 84 Olympics. She pulled a perfect 10 in two of the remaining events to win gold medals and take out the Romanians and all the rest of the people in the world. I mean, she literally hit perfection at the end of all of her events to just take home the gold. And just to give you a little background, it says Mary Lou Retton is an American retired gymnast. At the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, she won a gold medal in the individual all-around competition. That's the one she's famous for because that was the toughest one. But as well, she also won 2 silver medals and 2 bronze medals. The crazy part about this story when I was doing the research, she had a couple injuries leading up to the Olympics. They didn't know if she was going to be able to recover in time for the 84 Olympics. So this makes the story that much more impressive that I think at that point, no one had ever scored a 10 or a perfect 10. It was something to that point. Let me see. And it basically said she was dominating in all the events, leading up gymnastics events in like 82 and 83 leading up to the 84 Olympics, okay? And then she had a knee injury. She had a wrist injury and a knee injury and had knee surgery leading up to the 84 Olympics. They didn't know if she was even going to perform. And it said that Retton was engaged in a close battle with Ekaterina Szabo of Romania for the all-around gold medal, trailing Szabo after uneven bars and balance beam by 0.15 with 2 events to go. This is how you know you're a champion, right? With 2 events to go, she's down by 0.15. Retton scored perfect 10s on floor exercise and vault, the last event in an especially dramatic fashion, as there had been fears that her knee injury and subsequent surgery might impair her performance. She went on after winning those Olympic medals and winning that gymnastics gold and all around. She became the first Wow. She was named Sports Illustrated's Magazine Sportswoman of the Year. she appeared on a Wheaties box and became the cereal's first official spokeswoman. So no, it wasn't Serena Williams. It was Mary Lou Retton. So what are you guys' thoughts before I go to the other two about the impact of Mary Lou Retton, who literally became world known by the age of 16 in the '84 Olympics? Somebody take it away. What's up, man?
I didn't know about the surgery, the injury. That makes her gangster, you know?
Yeah.
And I think today, I saw something about 4 or 5 weeks ago where she is suffering from a disease now.
Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah, but no, I didn't know about that, man. That makes her gangster. She's OG.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, and what made me also think about it, I did see that as well. And I wanted to go, but she does have an illness. I wanted to make sure that we did. So basically, Retton was born with hip dysplasia, a condition that that her years as a competitive gymnast aggravated. After experiencing increased pain from the condition, she underwent hip surgery, replacement surgery on her left hip in her mid-30s. Okay, and then so she's had several injuries, and it says on Thanksgiving, Retton shared an update on Instagram saying, "As we gather to celebrate this Thanksgiving, my heart is overwhelming." So basically, yeah, she was critically ill with pneumonia recently. Retton reportedly did not have health insurance and turned to crowdfunding to raise money for medical expenses. So again, it's an unfortunate situation of what they called her once America's sweetheart. I think it goes to show that when people, unfortunately, athletes that we did a series on athletes going broke. If you don't have health insurance, I guess that classifies you as not where you want to be at financially. But she's still a very positive person. And even though she's had some illness, some health-related illnesses, and looks like her finances haven't been great, she definitely goes down in history as a straight gangster for gymnastics. I mean, it's incredible what I learned by researching her. So for Women's History Month, everyone everywhere send a salute out to Mary Lou Retton, because she was definitely getting it done. You know what, CJ and Mr. Spivey, before we move on to the final two, who are arguably two of the greatest athletes in the history of the world, any thoughts on Mary Lou Retton?
Well, Carlos, as far as Mary Lou Retton is concerned, it causes me concern because I look at what she's gone through the same as I look at servicemen who have served this country, with pride and put their lives on the line, and they come home and they have to go through hell, sleep on the street, have these illnesses as a result of being in a war, PTSD, and those things. Mary Lou Retton, I was looking at something, and I remember reading about this some time ago. She's had over 30 operations for orthopedic problems as a result of her service and that 10 that she got for the United States. And she had pneumonia, and it was a serious case to put her in the hospital for over a month in October. The sad part about that is her daughter, as I remember when this was going on, started a GoFundMe page to try to raise money to treat her. Now, you're talking about a woman who you just said basically is one of the, I guess you could say, one of the best athletes. I mean, there's been a few, Spitz and a few swimmers, but Mary Lou Retton is one of the top gymnasts to ever be in the game. And you might say, why did she have to put a GoFundMe page up to get money to help her for her health condition? The reason she did was she was not eligible for Obamacare. And the reason she wasn't eligible, there were pre-existing conditions from performing for her country.
How about that? Wow. Well, I tell you what, CJ, I'm gonna have you weigh in on Jackie Joyner-Kersee and FloJo, because even though I can say you might have been young, I'm sure you probably got a little knowledge on these. So let me hit with Jackie Joyner-Kersee. Says she's a retired athlete, so she's still with us. American track and field athlete ranked among the all-time greats in the heptathlon. That's a series, and as well as the long jump. But the heptathlon is a series of events to determine the greatest woman athlete in the world. She won 3 gold, 1 silver, and 2 bronze Olympic medals in those 2 events at 4 different Olympic Games. Sports Illustrated for Women magazine voted Joyner Kersee the greatest female athlete of all time. She served on the board of directors for USA Track and Field, the national governing body of the sport. Anybody who says anybody is the greatest female athlete of all time. Wow. Hey, CJ, had you ever heard of Jackie Joyner Kersee?
Vaguely, but I'm learning a lot just now. Like I said, I'm equally amazed at the accomplishments of such a trailblazer as I am horrified that a living legend like that is struggling with healthcare and the dystopian system that we built here in America, where we're the only country where even regular citizens, not much less, athletic legends and trailblazers, are saddled with so much medical debt that they have to beg strangers on a GoFundMe.
That is crazy. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you one more piece of information on Jackie Joyner Kersee as well. She won a medals in the wow, how many medals did she win? 1988 Seoul heptathlon, gold. 1988 Seoul long jump, gold. 1992 Barcelona heptathlon, gold. Again, heptathlon means you're the greatest woman athlete in the world. So she done it not once, but she did it twice. It says that she also went back, and as far as her silver medals, she had a silver medal in the heptathlon in '84. She had a bronze in the '92 Olympics in the long jump. She had a bronze in the '96 Olympics long jump. Now, check this out. We think about the Olympic Games as being the Super Bowl of track and field, which it is, okay? But there's something called World Championships as well. She won a gold in an '87 heptathlon and a '93 heptathlon in the World Championships. Look, I can just go on forever about Jackie Joyner Kersee. The crazy part was I still have to do some research on who introduced her brother to FloJo. Because I mean, this is just crazy how much talent can be in one family by marriage or not. We're talking about Florence Griffith Joyner. Even though, and I'll finish up quickly because I know my time is up. Even though Jackie Joyner Kersee didn't have the dominance in advertising that Florence Griffith Joyner did, be aware of this. Florence Griffith Joyner, also known as FloJo, was an American track and field athlete and the fastest woman ever recorded. Okay, she set world records in 1988 for the 100 meter and 200 meter. During the late 1980s, she became a popular figure due to both her record-setting athleticism and electric personal style. She had the fingernails going, she had the hair, she's like a beauty that was blazing. And you know what? I mean, I don't even know what to say that you could have so much talent in one family, and that people can leave an impact not only in the world of athletics, but in the world of just being a cultural icon. I mean, when you start thinking about track and field, I just know when I think about women's track and field based on what I saw growing up, FloJo tends to come to mind first. Okay. Yep. And, you know, I'll give Mary Lou Retton a little nod too. When I think about gymnastics, I think about her because I was in high school. She's a little bit older than me, but she was in high school when I was in high school. So that was the face that every time I turned the TV on was on the TV. And then Jackie Joyner Kersee, she didn't have the advertising, but every time I turned on the TV, it seemed like she was winning something. I was like, how many medals can she win? So for Women's History Month, I wanted to send this salute out to these great women athletes. I mean, they definitely have changed the landscape. They changed how gymnastics and how track and field, the participation for men and women and young men and young women based off their dedication, their style, and their personality. So great job to those ladies, and I'll turn it over to you guys for whatever you want to comment on. Thank you.
So Jackie Joyner Kersee during that time, she was a great athlete. She was a hell of a runner, but also FloJo was not hard on the eyes.
Easy,
yeah, man. All right. Yeah.
Let's be
Easy.
honest. She wasn't hard on
Easy.
the eyes. And for TV sponsors and people like that, she looked good. Not only looked good, but she was good for the sport. And so I remember FloJo with the different color nails, the
Yep.
long nails, but she could literally fly.
Amen to that.
Didn't FloJo have she died early?
Yeah, we didn't mention that. She was born in December 21st, 1959. She died September 21st, 1998.
Yeah.
So she didn't make 40.
Yeah.
Cause of death. Let me see. Died. Yeah. Oh, she didn't make 30. She was 38.
Wasn't it heart related?
Yeah, I think that. Let me see. Personal life. Let me see. Let me just check this out in
Okay. Yeah.
passing. But it says, yeah, she died in her sleep at home in California at the age of 38. The unexpected death was investigated by the Orange County Sheriff Coroner's Office, which announced the cause of death was suffocation during a severe epileptic seizure.
Wow. Oh, that's right. She did suffer from seizures. Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean,
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Didn't even make 40, man. That's
there was
crazy.
something with her death. I knew there was something where she had an untimely death, and I do recall that she had seizures. So
wow.
Again, somebody else who overcame tremendous odds. Okay.
That's right.
Mr. CJ, you on the clock, brother. Go.
Sure. I'll start with if we're gonna talk football, a little bit of NFL free agency, since that's the news is popping off a little bit before we get into the more serious stuff. As we saw, Kirk Cousins has the greatest agent of all time.
Yes, he does.
This man goes into every contract negotiation like it's a crisis hostage negotiation and comes out on top every time. Kirk Cousins has made more guaranteed money in the NFL than I can even understand for a quarterback of his caliber, but more power to him. Like, I had the pleasure of meeting Kirk Cousins early in his career when he's a rookie. He's a really nice guy. And by all accounts, he's a good teammate, even despite of what you think of his, quarterback play at times. So that is Atlanta's big haul. They were so desperate at quarterback that they are willing to just throw a Brinks truck at Kirk Cousins to get some sort of stability at the quarterback position after watching Desmond Ridder play for them all year. So good for Atlanta. Maybe he can get the ball to the young weapons they have there. Saquon Barkley to the Eagles. That's another big free agency flip there. Big heel turn. I know the Giants fans weren't happy about that, but they gave Daniel Jones a bunch of money, so they kind of got to live with that. I'm picking Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley, so the Giants will probably be in the market for a new quarterback soon anyway, come draft time. Beyond that, we've got Jacoby Brissett back to the Patriots. So they have a placeholder as they look for a new young quarterback. They sent Mac Jones to Jacksonville for a bag of Doritos and maybe like a Diet Pepsi. I think it was a 6th-round pick or something like that. But they got Mac Jones up out of there, as they should. He's terrible, and he's been terrible for his entire career. I've never been a fan of Mac Jones. And the Commanders looking real good in free agency, picking up, filling a lot of holes with young players, reliable players in their 20s on good contracts. But they had a lot of free agents, a long list, but they filled a lot of holes. It looks really, really good for the Commanders. So the new regime is starting out well. It looks like, so it depends on what they do at quarterback. They did pick up Marcus Mariota too, to look like to be a backup quarterback to replace Brissett. We don't know the fate of Sam Howell yet. They picked up Austin Eckler at running back. So they picked up a few high profile pieces, but also mostly building block pieces. They understand they're in a rebuild. So people think that Mariota as the backup signals possibly Jaden Daniels as the quarterback selection to get, stylistic synergy between your starter and your backup. So there's something to consider there. But I just wanted to hit on something less depressing before we got on politics. I'm sure you guys will have plenty to add on NFL free agency as we move on to the other next topics. But I did want to move into politics as well. Get into the State of the Union. We had the State of the Union last week.
Hey, CJ.
Yes.
That State of the Union, man, I think that was awesome. And I know you're going to nail it down. I just wanted to send a quick shout out to Mike McCarthy, who's Kirk Cousins' agent. He was a former quarterback at Colorado University, believe it or not, the son of Bill McCartney, a member of the College Football Hall of Fame, who was won a national championship with the Buffaloes in 1990. He then moved into an executive role in the NFL, working as the director of player personnel for the Philadelphia Eagles right before the turn of the century. He later left the league to move for director of football operations for Priority Sport, a rare career path from the NFL to a major representative firm. So just give you a heads up, Mike McCarthy has worked in the NFL in the executive office. He has football roots, as his father won, the national championship with the Colorado Buffaloes in 1990. And I tell you what, I'm going to try to get in touch with this guy because he negotiates the best contracts we've ever seen. So with that being said, brother, I know you about to put in some serious work on my man Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Do your thing.
Yeah, no, like they need to get him for these hostage negotiations. Get
Yes,
Kirk
sir.
Cousins' agent, he might get the hostages back. But moving on to the State of the Union, I thought it was actually quite interesting. It was a mixed bag because I think in terms of performance-wise, in terms of just the speech and like the energy of the speech, I thought Joe Biden was excellent. I thought, to be fair, I know I'm always bashing Joe Biden, but in terms of we've been having basically a weekend at Bernie situation where
You okay,
we've just
Bill?
been dragging.
Bill, you okay? You okay?
I'm trying not to keel over.
Well, I got to be fair. Like,
I
I'm not done.
I got a glass of orange soda here. Let me take a drink on camera.
Well, like I said,
I
I'm not
looked at
done.
you. I
Let's
said,
not-
"Oh
let's-
my goodness, we
don't
may have to
celebrate
call
too early.
911 for Spivey." Look at him.
Oh my God. Go ahead, CJ. I didn't
Not
mean to
celebrate too
interrupt.
early, but I got to be fair to Biden. Like, he came out with energy. He was alert. He didn't look like he was fumbling over his words. He wasn't having the normal gaffes and him pausing for 3 straight minutes, looking confused and things like that. They gave him that good Adderall. Like, he was ready to go. He was riled up. Like, Biden was energetic. So in terms of, I think, like the speech, in terms of the politics of it, I thought was good. I thought the optics were good. I thought he was excellent at attacking the Republicans, attacking the goofiness of Marjorie Taylor Greene and attacking their goofy, terrible policies. I thought Biden was excellent at that. I think he showed that was a little bit of the old Biden, the OG Biden from vice president and from the older days when he was a very, very sharp debater and a really good speaker. So I think we got shades of OG Biden. And that was good for the Democrats, for the optics, for the people who have a lot of worries about, can this guy even make it another year, much less 5 years, doing the hardest job in the world. I think he did a lot to reassure people that, okay, he's still, maybe he is sharp enough to do, I don't know, the job, the whole job, but, on the Biden curve of where we've been at, it's good. It was a good performance, you have to say. I think the issue was the actual substance of the speech and the policy of it. He came out starting with his first coming out the gate talking about Ukraine, an issue that I don't think a lot of Americans want to hear about anymore, or come out of the gate talking about as like your most pressing issue, kind of supporting Ukraine. His Israel policy remains atrocious and terrible, and he didn't pivot away from the things that are hurting him the most in terms of the policy. And even the good things that I think he was promising are ring hollow to anyone who's been paying attention, because things he's saying like, hey, if you reelect me, we're going to protect Roe versus Wade and reproductive rights. How are you going to do that, Joe? Because we could do that now. If you could do that, you could have done that. But you said, you don't want to expand the courts, and your position is you still don't want to expand the courts. So how is that going to get done? Like, it sounds nice in a speech, like, yeah, vote for me or protect this, but we voted for you now, you're president now, and it's not protected, and you don't want to change the factors of why it's not protected. So again, like, how is that going to get done? You're saying some good things, but they're not backed up by the actual actions of the policy decisions of his administration, which is kind of the issue. Even when you're promising good things like, you vote for me, we'll get this. How? When you say that, oh, we can't do it now because Congress is the issue, or the House is the issue, is the Senate. Will those things not still be issues in 4 years, 2 years, 3 years? So just, if you have a plan to get them done, that's awesome. You should really roll that out immediately and let people know like what your strategy is to implement the things that you failed to do your first term on your second term, to get people excited about voting for you, or reverse course on the thing that 80% of your voters are against, which is the whole genocide in Gaza, saying you have no red lines to Israel. And instead of using your leverage again to cut off aid to Israel, which you could do, which he still refuses to do. He's going to use billions of dollars of American money to build a port into Gaza and to make another way to try to build, to try to get aid into Gaza by building a port, further occupying the Palestinian people with another American military installation, which is going to have the same issue that they're having now, which is Israel is going to inspect the aid, which is a humiliation for the United States, that we're building a base and Israel still is going to have to inspect every truck that goes into there, which is what's happening now, which is why children are starving every day. We're getting deaths of children starving every day in Gaza. The U.S. bragged about getting 11,000 meals into Gaza, non-halal meals, first of all, some expired. Sometimes there are some people who've been killed by the meals that we've been airdropped because the parachutes malfunction. So imagine you've been starving, you're waiting, you finally see aid come in, parachuting down, and the parachute fails, and you get killed by the crate of expired food that the U.S. dropped on you. And so there's about 3 million meals needed. We got about 11,000 in, thanks to Israel's obstruction. And instead of trying to penalize Israel, we're going to try to build a military base. So instead of food going into Gaza, they're going to see cement trucks and U.S. troops and all these things building a port to roundabout way to try to get them more aid, instead of Biden actually just leveraging his power to cut off aid to Israel for them doing an act of genocide. So again, politics wise, great speech. Policy wise, not so great, because he didn't announce any reversals of the things that are actually really damaging him coming up in November. So I would say a mixed bag for the State of the Union.
Okay.
CJ, you mentioned something. I have a question. You said something about putting more judges. How would he go about putting more judges on the Supreme Court?
I would.
I mean, you blame it. You sound like you're blaming Biden. So I'm just wondering, how would he go about doing that?
By eliminating the filibuster on the, or are you talking about just on the Supreme
No,
Court?
you're talking about he needed to put more judges on the court or increase the judges. Number one, Biden can increase the judges on the Supreme Court because any judge that he nominates to go on the Supreme Court, he has to be confirmed by the Congress. And with this Congress that you have right now, people are not going to, Republicans are not going to approve any judge that Biden nominates to go onto the court. It would be the same thing when Obama nominated the guy who is now the Attorney General for the Supreme Court. If you all recall,
I remember. Yep.
they held it up. Garland, they never even brought it to the floor. So it's for, I mean, I know that you have a hard on for anything basically Biden does, but that's one of the things that he can't take the riff on, because if he nominates anyone for the Supreme Court today, tomorrow, or any time before November, it's not going to be approved by Congress.
And that's fair. So then how is he going to protect Roe versus Wade then?
Well,
making that
Roe
promise if that's
versus
something that
Wade,
he's unwilling
I mean,
to do?
I remember you said something a couple of podcasts ago, and I kind of just blew it off. You said Roe versus Wade was reversed on Biden's watch. Biden had no control over the court. Donald Trump was the one that pushed the reversal of Roe versus Wade. I don't think Biden or any other president could have stopped Roe versus Wade. The Supreme Court were the ones that, the Supreme Court was the ones that reversed Roe versus Wade. And that's why 3 of the judges that Trump put on the Supreme Court, he put them on there for that exact reason, along with the other 350 judges that he appointed while he was in office over the country.
Yeah, but that's only a problem because Obama never codified it into law like he ran on. And then when he got into presidency, he said it was no longer a priority. And then, like I said, and then it got revoked under Biden's watch. I know he didn't elect the judges to get it revoked. I know he didn't like run on a platform to get it revoked, but he was the president that ran on, I'm going to protect reproductive rights, and reproductive rights were not protected. That's just a fact. I'm not saying that Biden was the spearhead of taking.
No, what I'm saying is that when the Supreme Court reverses something, the president has no control over that. That's what I'm saying. I'm talking history now. I'm just talking if the Supreme Court, okay, prime example, there's a case before the Supreme Court right now with Donald Trump with the immunity. If the Supreme Court gives him immunity, Biden can't overrule that. That's my point.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that. I don't
So when the
understand.
Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, that was not on Biden's watch. Biden just happened to be the president of the United States when that happens. If the
That's all I'm
Supreme
saying.
Court says that Donald Trump is immune from prosecution with these upcoming charges, Biden cannot do anything about that. But that will happen on Biden's watch also.
Yeah, I agree with that. That is happening on Biden's watch. I'm not saying he's the one doing it. Again, it was Biden. It was talking about his unwillingness and the Democrats in regards to reproductive rights to doing any type of reform to the courts, to the Supreme Court. Like that's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that he's put these right-wing judges in to slap down his rulings. I understand the makeup of the court as it is now. It's not going to be favorable to him.
Basically, the point I'm making is you can't blame someone for something that they have no control over.
The president has some control over the politics of the Supreme Court. He can't control the judges. Obviously, they lost the political battle to the Republicans by one, letting Merrick Garland not even get a hearing. They just got bullied out of that one. And then they let Trump ram through Amy Coney Barrett. So them losing their own political battles is the reason the courts look like this. They can't blame anyone other than themselves to getting trounced by Republicans that the court looks the way it is. How is that not Democrats' fault?
Well, I'm not going to argue about that. I mean, I won't disagree with you about that. And I've said on this show, and I will continue to say, I think the Democrats are weak. I mean, I'm a Democrat, but I think the Democratic Party are weak. The Republican Party, to me, today is a party of thugs. It's a party of people just like the person that's in charge of the party. And I saw that the other night during the State of the Union address. I have watched State of the Union addresses for the last 40 years. And one thing I can say, the Republicans in the past were, I guess you could say, politicians, but they were also people who were compassionate. These Republicans you have now, doing the things that Biden was talking about during the State of the Union, when he was talking about immigration, when he was talking about Medicare, when he was talking about certain things like that. In the past, everybody stood up. These are things that the American people would agree on and what they want. The Republicans during the entire State of the Union never stood up, not one time. So basically, it goes back to this. Anything that the Democrats want, the Republicans are going to be against. And that's my take on it.
Yeah, that's it. That's the nature of the partisan politics in DC. And unless it's a war, then yeah, there's just going to be party lines on every vote. Like they're going to, the TikTok thing's a great example. There's positions that have flipped on that. Vivek Ramaswamy famously was for banning TikTok. He called it digital fentanyl. He said, we need to ban it. We need to ban it. And then Biden proposes banning it. All of a sudden, oh, actually, we don't need to ban it now.
Well, today, I think you had a across the aisle agreement on banning TikTok. Republicans and Democrats, they came together to ban TikTok.
Yeah, when the country needs real legislation to address healthcare or crime, our government gets together to show us how deeply unserious they are to come together to unanimously ban TikTok while people go homeless in the streets of America.
Mr. Analyst?
I agree with that. They're over there spending all that time on TikTok. We already spent enough time on TikTok. You know who's winning? TikTok. TikTok now has got free advertising through Congress on being banned. They're getting more popular. People are probably out there saying, wow, let me take a look at TikTok. I didn't look at it before, but if it's causing this much fuss,
let's take
a look. So there are some definite losers on Capitol Hill. They're playing right into TikTok's hands. And they're trying to force a company that's in another country to do something? I don't know if that's going to happen. So maybe it will get banned here, but I agree with CJ. There's a lot of other concerns here, right here in America, that we could be worried about, and they need to come together on something besides TikTok.
So what do you think about Donald Trump's daughter-in-law being installed in the RNC?
Oh, boy.
Well, personally, I think what has happened, Donald Trump is putting his people in key places. He put
Oh,
people
yeah.
on the Supreme Court. He's putting
Yeah.
people in the RNC. And right now, I don't know if you're familiar with today's ruling, but Judge McAfee threw out 6 counts of the 19-count indictment on
Yeah.
Donald Trump down in Georgia. And one of the things that he ruled on that they did not have enough evidence on, which I find is completely ludicrous,
Yeah.
was the phone call
The phone call.
that Donald Trump made to the man in Georgia and said, go and find me 1,100 votes. They said that it was not enough evidence.
So it was too vague.
It was too vague, and they threw out the count.
Trump said, all we need is one more vote. How's that vague?
And he was asking him to commit a crime, but the judge threw it out. But he did, if you recall, he did say that the 6 charges that he threw out today, that he gave them 6 months
Right.
to get more evidence and refile them.
They can refile.
6 months. How far is the election?
That's what I'm saying, man. His tactic is delay, delay, delay.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Florida and the Georgia trial, from what I've been able to come across, it probably is not going to happen before the general election. Now, the Manhattan case will probably happen, and also the DC case. There's a chance of that going to trial, but there's a possibility that a trial would not be completed before the election.
The only thing left for people to do is to vote and make it decisive as possible. Make it decisive.
Carlos, I'll do a switcheroo. You know, I know you have been over the past year flip-flopping between Washington Commanders, and I say that Commanders because I know you hate the name. You only like Washington or the Redskins, but I know you've been flip-flopping, and at one point you told us on this show that you were thinking about switching over to Pittsburgh and possibly supporting Tomlin. So I'd like to get your opinion on Russell Wilson leaving Denver and going to Pittsburgh.
I'll tell you this. Mike Tomlin, he's bringing what they call him Russ in to see if he can make a difference. But I tell you one thing, Mike Tomlin always seems to have a plan. I'm not sure what Pittsburgh paid for Russell Wilson. I'll have to look that one up. But I'm willing to bet it was a pretty good bargain. Wilson is still getting paid on his contract from Denver for a while. They ate a lot of money. They ate, like him and Sierra will be good in mansions all across the country for a while. Okay, but I'm willing to bet that he only got a job in Pittsburgh because that was probably below average contract for a veteran quarterback because he's already made his money from Denver. So I also, just like when Trubisky went to Pittsburgh, Trubisky, how long did Trubisky last? 4 games or something? And he was on the bench, and he didn't play long. Kenny Pickett was in. I think Kenny
have the number
Pickett,
here.
What you got? Because I think Kenny Pickett is still going to be the starter in Pittsburgh. I don't think it's going to be Russell Wilson. I think he's a backup.
No, I think Wilson will definitely.
Yeah,
Kenny Pickett is
what you smoking?
But
I'm telling you, man.
What do you got, CJ? CJ, what do you got?
Russell Wilson agreed to a historic low contract of 1 year, $1.2 million.
There it is. There's the contract. I didn't even read it, but thank you, CJ. That's my whole point. So my point is maybe Tomlin gives him a start, just like he gave Trubisky. Okay, and after 4 games, if he ain't doing well, Kenny Pickett's probably coming right back in. So we'll see what happens. But I knew it had to be a bottom bargain basement price. And if you look at the Washington Commanders, they finally look like they have some people in place doing some stuff right because they're signing a lot of 1-year contracts. They're not tying their finances up for the next 5 or 10 years. They're not giving up. Right now, they haven't given up any draft picks. That's the way to build through free agency. If you're not going to build your own team, you want to get players in at the lowest possible contract on the shortest possible terms, and then you'll make a decision. You don't pay. In the past, the Washington Commanders have paid people up front for doing nothing. And then they got in the contract and they did even less. So I think Washington is going to be okay this year. And we'll see what happens with Pittsburgh. But I do admire Mike Tomlin. I think he never had a losing season. Pittsburgh is always in the thick of things. And if Russell Wilson works out, great. If he doesn't, I'm sure Kenny Pickett will come back in and he'll have a winning season and they'll get to the first round of the playoffs. I think the key for Pittsburgh is whether they get past the first round of the playoffs. They're going to have a winning season every year. So,
hey, didn't Derrick Henry go to Baltimore? Did Derrick Henry go to Baltimore?
Derrick Henry went to Baltimore.
Derrick Henry went to Baltimore.
2-year contract.
And I think the only piece that Pittsburgh was missing was a quarterback. Because they've been struggling in the quarterback position ever since Roethlisberger left. And we all know that he stayed too long and didn't give Kenny Pickett a chance to kind of, work his way in and get his starting thing. Just a point, you might find this interesting. The top four earners in NFL over the past since 2005. Aaron Rodgers, $342.5 million. Guess who number 2 is?
Come on, Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins.
Not going to the Hall of Fame.
$331.7 million.
Wow.
Matthew Stafford is number 3, $328.3 million. And Russell Wilson, $256.4 million.
Mr.
And that's
Spivey.
for Russell Wilson is since 2012, and Stafford is since 2009.
Mr.
Kirk
Spivey.
Cousins is 2012, but Aaron Rodgers is 2005.
Mr. Spivey, that money you just mentioned is Kirk Cousins' salary prior to him signing with Atlanta. You know that, right?
Yeah.
So you add 180 million. I don't know what Aaron Rodgers has up in New York right now, but I think in another year or two, Kirk Cousins is going to be number 1 on that list. He's going to jump Aaron Rodgers during that time period. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure.
If I'm not mistaken, when Kirk Cousins left Washington and went to Minnesota, I think they gave him $85 million.
Guaranteed.
Like $50 million was guaranteed.
But he played through his whole contract. So he got the entire contract.
What you got, CJ? What you
I had
say?
a few things. Well, one, Kirk Cousins did get back-to-back franchise tags before he got that big contract. So you're right. He got a lot of like hidden sneaky money in between those big contracts.
Mm-hmm.
But they did a thing about how devalued the running back position was. And they looked at all the signings of all the high-profile running backs, and all of them totaled up combined weren't equal to Kirk Cousins' contract that he got. Like Derrick Henry, for example, got $11 million over 2 years. And that was one of the biggest, most lucrative running back deals, $11 million over 2 years. And you're thinking like Kirk Cousins making well over $100 million just of guaranteed money is just crazy. And it's really sad for the running backs that they have to play musical chairs every year to get money too. That you see how much player movement happens. Running back switch teams, it seems like every 2 or 3 years. They retire at about 26, 27, some of them. People keep talking about Todd Gurley's been out the league for like, it seems like forever. He's not even 30 years old yet. And some of these guys have been retired that for years, and you don't even think of them. They're younger than me walking around, but it just seems like the lifespan of an NFL running back is so short. And then, they're so devalued. And then on the Aaron Rodgers thing, I don't know if you guys saw the report that he was on the short list of RFK Jr.'s running mates for vice president of the United States. So Aaron Rodgers looking to be your future vice president and quarterback of the Jets. That sounds like a terrible Disney movie or something, but this is where we're at.
Well, keep in mind now, Aaron Rodgers, he ran, what was the talk show for close to a few months?
Jeopardy or something? Was it
Jeopardy? Jeopardy, yeah.
Jeopardy, oh yeah. So, I guess he may not, he's arrogant as hell, but he may not be the dumbest person in the world.
Hey, you know what? I want to go out. I'm gonna start the clock on a minute. I just want to go out, and you don't even have to take the minute if you want, but here we go. What is your take on this Mike Tyson versus Jake? What's his name, CJ?
Jake Paul.
Jake Paul. Mike Tyson is going to fight Jake Paul. There's a 30-year difference in their ages, and people have been saying we might see a guy actually murdered in the ring. What you got, CJ?
Please, CJ, enlighten us.
Yeah.
I ain't heard nothing about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jake Paul's an influencer. He is a legitimate like boxer. He's a good like amateur level, you know, or low level professional boxer. Like he can box like Jake Paul, but like, I mean, it's more for spectacle. He's more of an influencer. You know, he does like wrestling and stuff now. He does just anything to really get attention. So as he can legitimately fight, and you know, this is a circus, as Mike Tyson is obviously way too old to be seriously boxing somebody, but at the
He'll
same
be
time,
58. He'll be 58 when
that's
that happens.
insane. And
Wow.
even he has said that he is not in shape to be doing that. But at the same time, that's still Mike Tyson in it. One well placed punch is still seems like a bad idea. So that would be entertaining for the culture to see Jake Paul finally eliminated by an old Mike Tyson. But
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. It's more looks like a money grab kind of circus.
And I think it's going to be sponsored on streamed on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. I think it's the first live Netflix
Yeah.
boxing event. So
Yeah.
got to give it to Jake Paul. I don't really like the personality of the guy, but he is a very, very skilled businessman and influencer in terms of getting these big money fights and making a lot of money off of these events.
Yeah. Mr. Analyst?
Wow. Well, I just did some analyzing. July 20th, AT&T Stadium,
Yeah.
Arlington, Texas.
Yeah. Jerry World.
Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is an upcoming heavyweight professional boxing match contested between American YouTuber Jake Paul and American former undisputed heavyweight world champion Mike Tyson. The bout is scheduled to take place on July 20th, 2024 at the AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. The event will be streamed globally on Netflix.
There you go.
Jake Paul, age 27. Mike Tyson, currently age 57. Jake Paul, well, here's the problem for Jake Paul. Jake Paul is not George Foreman. Jake Paul is 5'11". Mike Tyson is listed at 5'10". Yeah, one punch from Mike Tyson could still put Jake Paul out. If he was like 27 and he was 6'3" or 6'4" and 260 pounds like George Foreman used to be or something when he was young, or even a young Ali at 6'3", 230. Nah, this guy is an inch taller than Mike Tyson. Man, you're going to see an old man put a young man down. I'm pretty confident. Mike Tyson was very strategic in this opponent here because it is someone and he can beat. So that's just my take on it, man.
Okay.
And yeah, so that's what I got.
Well, I remember years ago, Mike Tyson fought a young guy by the name of Buster Douglas. And they said the same thing. And I think Buster put Mike Tyson on his butt.
Mrs.
Yeah.
Bobby, here's the
But on the
X factor.
rematch, Mike took him out.
Yeah.
Yes. Here's the X factor. The X factor is this. Mike Tyson had plenty of money, and more money means more problems. That's why he lost to Buster Douglas. Buster Douglas didn't beat Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson beat himself. I don't even think Mike Tyson slept the 3 nights leading up to the fight. Okay? I'm just telling you, Mike had his own issues. Now Mike needs money. Mike might be hungry out there.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. He's an old hungry man, and the old hungry man might knock you out.
All right, CJ. Go ahead, CJ.
Mike's making some good money off of his
I was
cannabis
getting ready to
brand.
say, Mike
Like
is
I
not
don't know if
poor.
he's broke because like so
He ain't
his
destitute.
his Tyson cannabis is real popular. It's good too.
Yeah.
Like, he making some money.
So Mike doing all right.
Mike ain't got no
cannabis world.
GoFundMe page.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike making money.
Mike doing all right, man. Good for Mike, man. I'm glad Mike doing all right. See.
All right, folks. Well, there you go. We done got NFL. We done got Women's History Month. We done got Jake Paul and 58-year-old Mike Tyson by the time the fight arrives in Jerry World. Oh, man, we'll have something to talk about then because Carlos has already said old man strength will win against that YouTube influencer. So we got you down on record. Ladies and gentlemen, we are the Thought Brothers, and we appreciate you being with us. Until next time, we are out of here.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
This program is made possible by the friends of the All-in-One Master Tonic and MasterChefGary.com. If you can identify with any of the things behind me, then you owe it to yourself to try the All-in-One Master Tonic. The tonic has worked miracles and wonders for me in terms of weight loss. I've lost about 50 pounds using the tonic and common sense principles such as exercise and proper eating. Look, go to www.masterchefgary.com, have access to free recipes. You can follow my weight loss journey and learn more about the tonic. If I can do it, you can too. That's www.masterchefgary.com. Health is wealth. Don't put a price tag on your health. Do it now.